Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Hannah with Frugal for Two, and as you can see today, as you can hear my neighbors today, I'm actually using the brand new camera and we're gonna try this out. So if there's some settings that are a little off, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to figure this out. So without further ado, we're going to be making one of my favorite dishes. I know I say this every time, but all the things I cook are my favorite because life's too short to not cook your favorites. So today we're going to be making Indonesian rice, frugal style, if you want to call it that. So let's take a look at these ingredients. Okay, so today we're going to be working with 4 tablespoons or half a stick of butter, 2 small onions, some olive oil, soy sauce, curry powder, and diced ham. This is 1 pound of diced ham, and 2 bags of boil in the bag rice. You can also use about 2.5 cups of rice. That's what these bags equal out to. Last time I looked at the measurements, they have really strange measurements for these bags of rice. So those are the ingredients that we will be working with today. So let's get started. Alright, so I always have it in my head that this recipe is more complicated than it is. It's actually really simple. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add in your butter and your oil. And you're going to want 4 tablespoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of oil. In my case, I'm using olive oil. And you're going to let that heat up. Melt! Melt, butter, melt! More quickly! I don't have all day. This is supposed to be a quick recipe. Now that that's mixed in, we're going to add in our 2 cups of onions. Listen to that sizzle! And we're gonna get that cooking on about medium for a minute. And meanwhile, you can prepare your ham. Usually with these ham cubes, straight from the package, there is a lot of extra water in there, and you want to make sure that you drain that. Now that we've drained the water out of this ham, we can add it into the mix so it can start to cook. This, of course, is going to cool off your pan significantly, so it may take a minute to heat back up. So we're going to turn that up and let that cook for a minute. Meanwhile, you can be getting your next ingredients, which are your soy sauce and curry powder. I'm going to be adding in 1, 2, 3, and 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, along with 1, 2, 3, 4 teaspoons of curry powder. You can add a little less if you don't like it as strong, but I have found that most of my family, including my husband, like it with a lot of curry in it. You have to remember that this is going to cover a good portion of rice, so it's not as strong as you think it's going to be. Once you get that mixed in well, and again you're keeping it medium to medium-high heat, just enough that you can see a little bit of sizzling, a little bit of boiling. Let that cook for about 5 minutes or so, till you can see some of that yellow liquid being absorbed into the meat. Okay, once that gets to a point where you can see that the meat is got some brown on it, and a good bit of that liquid is absorbed, you are ready to take it off the heat. Make sure that there's still some liquid in there, because that's going to absorb into your rice when it is done. So, we're going to take it off the heat. Still waiting on our water to boil for rice. We'll just take that right off the heat and let that cool down. There's no problem with letting that cool down. It's okay if you make it in advance. Oftentimes, I just make this portion of it, and then once it cools, I'll set it in a Ziploc bag and I will freeze it, and that way all I have to do is boil some rice and thaw it out and stick it in there, mix it up, heat it up. It'll be good to go. So, that water's almost ready to go, and I'll come back to you once something exciting happens. Okay, now that's looking a little bit more ready to go. We're going to take some curry powder and we're going to actually put it in the water. Just a sprinkling. Not really an exact measurement, but put some in there, because this, although there's lots of curry in there, it doesn't absorb totally into the rice like when it's cooking. So at this point, we're going to turn it down a little bit before it starts boiling over, and we're going to get our rice in there. Rice! Oh, in the bag rice. Pretty self-explanatory. And the rice will have a little bit of a yellow hue when it's done. To the murky curry water. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I talk to my food. Oh no, don't you stop boiling on me. I turn you up. You are going to keep boiling. Okay, we'll come back in about 10 minutes. Okay, we are back. We now have a light yellow rice that just finished cooking. And I added a splash of water to this meat mixture. and put it on low just so we could keep it warm. And now we're going to add it in. Okay, now you're going to take your meat mixture and we're just going to add that right in. Very carefully, so as not to get it everywhere, because that curry definitely stains. It stains everything. It's a very potent yellow dye. At this point, we're going to grab our spoon and mix it on in. Once it's completely mixed in, it should give it a nice dark yellow color. So this is a quick, easy recipe without a lot of ingredients. Makes a delicious looking and tasting Indonesian rice. At this point, if you're very particular about how much curry's in your rice, you may want to taste test it and check it out. Make sure it's right where you need it, because you can add more curry at this point. I often do because it's just not strong enough. And the thing about curry is that it loses its flavor after a certain amount of time. So you want to make sure your curry is relatively fresh. I wouldn't keep curry more than about 6 months. At that point, it's pretty much dead. It just does not have the flavor that it used to. So, with that said, I hope you enjoy!